Hello, and welcome to another Angry's unit of the week. And today we're taking a look at the Vânătorul R-35 tank destroyer. The Romanian armoured forces were not exactly the most well-equipped bunch during Operation Barbarossa, as they were mainly using more obsolete foreign European tanks from the early to mid 1930s. One of these tanks would be the French Renault 35, which would be used in Romanian service. They performed pretty terribly, of course, during Operation Barbarossa, as mainly the 37mm gun of the tank was just awful, absolutely awful. And it was also very slow, it had reliability issues, it was just not a very good tank. And so they decided to upgun its obsolete tank with a slightly less obsolete gun. They first decided to try and mount a T-26 turret with Romanian 47mm gun in place, but they eventually decided just to use the Russian 47mm gun within the same turret. And with the addition of the larger gun, there was no room to put the coaxial machine gun, so that would be chucked out, and they would start testing prototypes of this vehicle in late 1943, and eventually put them into service in 1944 once they refitted 30 of their R-35 tanks into the Vânătorul R-35, or Tank Destroyer R-35. In service, this tank destroyer apparently wasn't really used that much, and probably for good reason. The gun was not sufficient enough, it didn't have a machine gun to deal with any infantry threats, and it was still an R-35 at heart, just with a different gun. It was slow and unreliable. In-game, the Vânătorul R-35 is a 25-point tank destroyer available exclusively to the 4th Munty Division, and it has a single weapon. And that weapon is the rather powerful, the all-important 45mm Russian gun, only armed with 35 armor penetration shells. It has a high rate of fire at least. Up down to the miscellaneous stat, it has 50mm of frontal armor, strong top armor, 40mm on side, and 30mm at the back. It goes 23 km off-road, 30 km on the road, good stealth, and normal optics. In battle, this unit is unsurprisingly very bad. It's not a good unit by any stretch of the imagination. This barely is considered to be a tank destroyer in my mind, as it really is just an R-35 tank with a slightly better gun, but not really that much better by any considerable standards, especially in SD2 1944 standards. It's not really a tank destroyer, it's more of an armoured car destroyer. It is cheap per se, yes, you do have that, it is 25 points, but the main issue is it has no anti-infantry capabilities, not even a machine gun. So if you are going to use this in more closer counters engagement, which really you'd want to be using it for to get ambushes, if an infantry squad comes in through a forest, such as a Strelky squad with anti-tank grenades, you're going to have a very bad time in this tank destroyer, quote unquote. And in regards to the rest of the division's tank destroyer tab, there's no real reason to take this. All the other units are much better at actually blowing up tanks compared to this, as all you're going to be doing with the R-35 is knocking on T-34's doors, and they probably won't be too happy about that. So why the hell am I talking about this unit if it is god-awful? And the reason I am talking about it is because it's god-awful. I do love covering the really bad units in Unit of the Week, and this is no exception. When I first saw this in the Romanian DLC, I just didn't really know what to do with it, because it was completely and utterly useless. But this is the thing that I do respect about Eugene Systems, is their devotion to historical accuracy in regards to divisional structure, is that they will purposely add units which are terrible and are bad, and in this case really don't have any considerable use in a proper gameplay. But it was used historically in the division, and by God, it's going to be in the game. No exceptions, no rules. And that's what makes Steel Division 2 a very unique game, is that we will have terrible units such as this, and if you do actually see one in the battlefield, that's a very rare sight, I would have to say, because I don't think many sane people would take his tank destroyer. And I'm going to leave his tank destroyer alone, and this has been another Rang Rouge Unit of the Week. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as usual, please just take it easy.